us now. In the arms of peace, we long to sleep. We'll rest tonight. When you lay beside me, I know everything's gonna be alright tonight. Could have been stranded, but we made it out of that town, baby, just in time. All these years we thought we had it down, but it was just a foolish play. It's okay, and it's alright. This graceful life.
Hello and welcome to the SCSA Podcast Network. This is Richard Winman. We don't really have a show. I'll tell you what's been going on behind the background is that we've been having a hard time placing guests because, believe it or not, COVID. So we're going to be back online. We're going to have a brand new show for you on Monday. It's going to be with Catherine Robb, a tireless advocate. She's with Child USA, which is a think tank, basically a legal think tank for the advocacy of childhood trauma. And so I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get back and I'll give you some updates what's going on inside the organization and what to look forward to.
Hi there. I'm Professor Marcy Hamilton, founder and CEO of Child USA, the leading nonprofit think tank fighting for the civil rights of children. 2022 is our 6th year as an organization, and we are so excited to mark the continued progress we've made at our award celebration at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia on Thursday, November 3rd. The best part is you're invited. Join us in honoring heroes in child protection such as journalists and advocates Gretchen Carlson and Jason Berry, and coach and pioneer Sarah Powers Barnhart. They have all done remarkable work to bring further attention to child protection issues and to help us solve these problems. We're going to have an exciting and uplifting night honoring survivors and the fierce advocates working to keep children safe, including our incredible team here at Child USA. Learn more about how you can join the celebration as a guest or support us as a sponsor by visiting www.childusa.org/awards. We can't wait to see you there.
That is going to be a great show, and I hope you tune into it. I'm looking forward to doing the interview. It's going to be a great show. So, since we don't have a guest, we'll talk just a little bit, very briefly, about what's going on with the organization. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't get to see, but I can tell you that we became an organization about a year and a half ago, and to date we have over 1,700 members nationwide and worldwide. So that's a good problem I have for an organization. Our growth is pretty much exponential, and it's something that we manage all the time. Second item on the agenda, some news is about our support groups. As you guys know, the most important thing that we do is support victims and survivors of childhood sex abuse. And really, the support groups are where the magic happens. It's our bread and butter. It's the most important thing that we do. Currently, we have weekly support meetings, and we have male groups and women groups. So we did a leadership conference, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And we decided to add some more support groups. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a co-ed support group. That one's only going to be once a month, but it's a chance for the guys and the girls to get together. Maybe they won't share in detail, but it's nice to know that you have a brother or sister around too that's going through the same thing as you. Also, we have some very, very, very talented people on staff. We have 3 volunteers, staffers that specialize in ritual sex abuse, child sex abuse. So we're going to have a ritual abuse support group as well. The frequency is to be determined, but we're thinking it's going to be twice a month. So that's what's going on with the support groups. That's our secret sauce, man. That's where miracles happen. If you haven't been to one of our support meetings, please get to one. I think you'll really enjoy it. If for nothing else, just to go one time and see what it's like. And I think you'll like it. Yeah, so getting back to the leadership conference, we had a leadership conference with the board of directors in Moab, Utah last month. And we worked on the organization of the organization. We came up with a vision statement, which I think was important to the organization, really to any organization. So just like corporate America, we have a vision statement, and I'll read it to you. SCSA vision statement is to empower survivors of childhood sex abuse with resources and support to self-advocate and reclaim their life's potential. That's our vision statement. We also have a mission statement. The mission statement states the mission of survivors of childhood sex abuse, SCSA, is to empower victims to become survivors and thrive. Through understanding, empathy, education, and advocacy, we support you and your loved ones in your healing journey. We will listen to you, believe you, and we will support you. Then we have a core value statement. Core value number 1 is support. SCSA's primary purpose is to advocate for and support victims and survivors of childhood sex abuse. Integrity is number 2. SCSA will always act with integrity when interacting with SCSA members, the media, peer organizations, and the public. Number 3 is empathy. SCA will always be empathetic to victims and survivors. We walked in your shoes. We will always respect the dignity of our members. Number 4 is advocacy. SCSA will always strive to act in the best interest of all of our members, as well as all victims and survivors. Community. SCSA will endeavor to create strong victim and survivor community through fellowship and support. And so that's really the DNA of our organization. Why we do it. We always start with why, right? And then how we go about accomplishing that and how we're going to conduct ourselves as an organization. So, there was one addition and some minor revisions that we accomplished to these statements, these values, during the leadership conference. It was our first leadership conference, and a lot of us have never ever met in person. So it was really nice to get together with them for 3 days and do some bonding and sharing ideas. There's a lot of things that have been happening, and the leadership conference really kicked off the activities that would follow, and we're going to get to those in just a second. So, media appearances. It's been a real boon for us in terms of media. We get asked to be interviewed all the time. Also, we have our own podcast network, so that's an awareness initiative. But media appearances is really where we get the message out. And every time we do any type of media, without exception, one victim comes forward. And that's so important that they cross that threshold from victim to survivor so they can reclaim their life's potential and live their best lives. We recently did a documentary with Church Militant. I know not everybody's a conservative Catholic, but, we'll tell our story to anybody who will listen. So, when the other media wants to talk, I'll talk to them too. And then some other people will be mad at me. But, we have that documentary out. It's you can find it on our webpage. And also, we have a really big Netflix special coming out. It's going to come out. It's going to be a while now. It's going to come out in January, and it's going to be focused on Boy Scout sex abuse. It's going to contain my story. Also, several other SCSA members will be in the documentary as well. Mason Spong, our chairman of the board, Randall Honig, who used to be a Boy Scout executive, believe it or not, he's going to be in that documentary as well. So we're looking forward to that. We're constantly doing media, constantly doing radio shows, well, except for this little hiccup when everybody got sick. So, coinciding with the Netflix release in January, in February, we're going to hold our very first virtual conference. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be the first time we've ever done a conference. We're going to do it virtually. We're still a small organization, so we can't afford $70,000 to get a hotel yet. And have a big conference, but we're going to do it virtual, and we try to get as many people in there as possible. We're going to have a load of really great speakers for the virtual conference. It's going to be free. Attend, log off when you want to, log back on. It's going to be very, very convenient and hopefully educational, and hopefully we walk away from it with a better understanding of what we're doing and what's going on and what we can do to help and of course support our survivors. Big news. Back in February, I went down to the FBI field office in Fort Worth, Texas, with some documentation and information, and I filed a formal complaint against the Archdiocese of New Orleans. And specifically the Mann Act. So, the federal government's always grappled with, what's the crime? How, I guess they wanted to investigate the church for a while, but we had to introduce them to the Mann Act, basically. And so we have a case in New Orleans where a deposition is sealed, and in the deposition, a pedophile priest, he admitted to taking kids over the state line. Whenever you take a child over state lines for the purpose of having sex with them, abusing them, that's a violation of the Mann Act. And unlike everything that we deal with legally in this crazy survivor world where there's statute of limitations, in federal law for this act, there is no statute of limitations. So you can go back as far as you want to. It doesn't matter when your abuse happened. If they took you out of town, the FBI is going to help you out. And also, we discovered that the Archdiocese of New Orleans basically defrauded the federal government out of $46 million of taxpayer money. It was a hush-hush. They settled with the government for $1 million. So I don't know. That's sort of like a business, right? I mean, I would steal money too, $46 million, if all I had to do is pay $1 million to skate away from it. So what we did is we filed a form. It's actually an official form that you file with the IRS when a nonprofit such as the church is involved in fraudulent activity, terroristic activities. There's a whole list. There's check boxes that you go down and you check. So we checked the fraud stuff, and we submitted that to the IRS. Not too long ago, both the FBI and the IRS got back to us, and they said that they're doing the investigations. The FBI was really, really big news in New Orleans. It was released initially by the AP, the news, that there was an FBI investigation. It was featured everywhere in the world. It was got a lot of coverage, millions and millions and millions of views. And we also were notified by the IRS that their investigation is going on as well. Now, neither one of these entities will give us any status on their progress. That's just not the way that they operate. But I expect really, really good things from these two efforts, from these two investigations. And what we did is precedent setting. If the IRS takes away the nonprofit status of the Archdiocese for defrauding the money, takes away their nonprofit status of the church, the Catholic Church. That's never been done before. And so if this happens, it's precedent setting. And what I mean by precedent setting is that church after church after church is going to fall and lose their tax exempt status. What would be the health of the church after they go through that? I don't know, but maybe they need to go out and make a living too. If you view it this way, the church is tax exempt organization, so they don't contribute to the tax base. They don't pay any taxes at all. So then why should they be allowed to file bankruptcy if they don't pay taxes and pay for the court system? So that's a really, really big one. And the FBI investigation into the Catholic Church is also a first. This is a first. This is precedent setting too. And if they have a successful investigations, then there will be convictions. And in New Orleans area, priest inside the Archdiocese of New Orleans, there will be convictions, and that will set the precedent as well, because every other archdiocese is going to have an FBI investigation. So, we're making progress. A lot of times we get mired in local laws, state laws, local agencies, law enforcement that really don't care about us. But what we decided to do strategically is surround the archdiocese with the feds, because that's the only way this is going to get done. And finally, I want to tell you a survivor story. It's not my story. There's a young man in Sweden. He was 16 at the time, and he contacted us. Normally, we don't offer support to the minors, but he was in trouble. What we could do is get him out of trouble. And so what was happening is his mom and dad were addicted to drugs, and there was a neighborhood pedophile, and the parents, believe it or not, sold their son to the pedophile for drug money or for drugs. Sometimes the pedophile would bring drugs, sometimes he would just bring cash. And this poor child, 16 years old, is being molested. He's being filmed, he's being recorded, photos are being taken. I worked with him, and so did a couple of other folks, and we got him to get the courage to go tell his counselor at school. Immediately upon him telling them what was going on, they got him out of the house. He's in a foster home right now. By the way, in a foster home that he loves. The foster parents are just incredible with him. He still goes through a lot of emotions and stuff, so he acts out a lot. But his foster parents have stuck with him. At 16 years old, he was a 1/5 a day vodka drinker. And so we worked on that, and now he's sober. And the courage of this young man coming forward, he not only got the pedophile arrested, but because he was recording it, there were other pedophiles in Sweden, and doing the investigation, because of his action of coming forward, he broke up an entire pedophile ring, a nationwide pedophile ring in Sweden. And so by having the courage to come forward and tell his story and get some justice, he also stopped the abuse of countless children in Sweden. I'm very proud of him. Won't say his name. He's almost 18 now, and we'll just call him John. So that's all I have. No. Organizational announcements. We had a reorg in the organization. And we have some new folks, and I'll tell you about who they are. So Kelly Cresswell, during the leadership conference, we have to have a succession plan in case I get hit by a bus or decide to quit, which I will never quit, by the way. So we have a senior vice president now of operations. His name's Kelly Cresswell. He's a survivor as well, and he was He's a big sports fan, comes from the Irish American community. He used to live in New Orleans, and now he lives in Detroit. And his background is in law enforcement and government contracting, wartime government contracting. And he's incredibly intelligent, level-headed. He told his stories on the website too. So welcome, Kelly Cresswell. Z Michaud, Zipporah, but we call her Z, and she is a substance abuse support specialist. So if you can imagine, a lot of us survivors, and I mean a lot of us, we have chemical dependency and alcohol issues. And so this is just another example of the type of support that we can offer our members for free. And by the way, I think you noticed already, everything we do at SCSA for victims and survivors is absolutely free. We don't charge a dime for anything. So Z's with us. Welcome, Z. Family support programs are really, really important because, there are survivors of survivors. And it takes a lot of work, courage, patience to support a survivor when you live under the same roof. And it can be really hard and challenging sometimes. So Maribel Windman, yes, she's a relation. She's my wife. So I guess that's my first act of nepotism. But no, she's qualified. She's a psychiatric nurse. She works for a regional county mental health clinic in Fort Worth, Texas. She deals with alcohol and drug addiction. She deals with child sex abuse every single day. She's an expert in anxiety, depression, dissociative disorder, PTSD, and she's a longtime supporter of me, and she understands the need for strong family support. And so welcome, Maribel. She's going to start doing yet another support group, the family support group. So that's coming up. And the last thing I'll talk about is money. Like I said, everything that we do with victims and survivors is absolutely free to them. It was a founding principle of the organization that we would never make a red penny on the back of a survivor. And so we survive on donations only. It's our only source of income. It's we do run a tight fiscal ship, but it does cost money from an operational perspective to make this go around and to have all of our online resources and things like that. So if you can only give once, we ask that you think about us. If you find yourself in a position where you can't afford to donate, but you want to help out somewhere, do a fundraiser on Facebook. If you do a fundraiser on Facebook and choose SCSA as your charity, it will be posted on your timeline or your profile or whatever, and then your friends will have the opportunity to donate. And that's a very, very effective way of giving. Also, if you don't have any money, but you have enough money to shop, go to Amazon, go to smile.amazon.com and choose SCSA as your charity. When you do that, just shop like you normally would. It doesn't cost you a dime, and every time you make a purchase, Amazon makes a donation to us. If you're interested in finding about other ways you can financially help us, such as corporate matching programs and things like that, give us a call. We're easy to find at the website. And the website, by the way, is www.scsaorg.org. Again, that's www.scsaorg.org. Hit the join button. Join us. We'd love to have you. Doesn't cost anything. Donate if you can. I promise you an excellent show on Monday, and we're going to have other guests coming up as well, quality guests. All right, that's what we do. We give you top-notch people in the podcast. We talk about subject matter experts, lawyers, doctors, psychologists, and trailblazers, other advocates, trailblazers in the field of childhood sex abuse. And also, occasionally, we have a survivor come on and tell their story, which is always very, very powerful. So thanks for being patient with the radio show. We're going to be back on Monday, and we're going to be operating normally after that. Take advantage of the new support groups that we have. Take advantage of all of our resources. They're there for you. They're free. And also, if you don't feel like going to a support group, we offer a one-on-one support as well. So I don't care what you're going through or what the situation is. There's a way that SCSA can help you. And that's what makes our world go around. You know, another mission statement might be that our mission is to save as many lives as possible. And if we can do that, and we get that feedback a couple of times a month, that just makes our world go around. It makes it all worthwhile, all the pain and suffering that we go through. So thank you again. Thank you for your patience. And we'll see you on Monday.
It's already